Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the DC Collectibles, the new Batman Adventures, figure number 28, Firefly. Including his display stand, Firefly comes with a total of 16 pieces. He is not recommended for ages 3 below, as he does have a choking hazard. The back of the package carries no information, no read-up, no alluding to future figures in the wave, absolutely nothing. It is what it is. One thing that is, though, if you want to head over to www.comicshoplocator.com, put your zip code in or your postal code, and bingo bango, you can find a comic book store in your area. It's that easy. Spot's used it himself. Spot's going to take, though, a break. I'm going to get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the new Batman Adventures figure number 28, Firefly. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. For your consideration, Firefly comes with a pamphlet. Always like looking at these at the beginning of these reviews, showing us what we can expect from future figure releases. Still looking forward to getting that Clayface. Can't wait for him to get released. I'd almost want to pick up maybe 2 of those guys, keeping one sealed, and then having one loose, and I could do stuff, change out the arms and stuff like that to him. Can't wait for him. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's have a look at Firefly, who comes with a 3/4 turn display stand, featuring character designs, initial drawing sketches of what the character will look like in the animated series. This comes to us from the new Batman Adventures. Of course, as well, there is the adjustable clip. This can go up and down. Sometimes some of these are a little loose. Sometimes they're a little bit stiff. Firefly's just happens to be really on the stiff side, but that's okay. It has an adjustable waist clip as well, which will hold the figure, and then this can come back and forth. I find this is such an useless part of the display stand. I mean, you're not going to have a figure standing that far out. Even if you really put them on display, in some dynamic pose. Up and down makes fine sense. I don't get why this has to slide back and forth as much as it does. It just gives you so much extra that if you want to have this on a shelf, you have to move kind of the figures further up so that they don't, depending on, again, how wide your shelf is. So let's put that right over there. Firefly also comes with a series of interchangeable hands. By default, his hands are on the figure in closed-shut formations. However, he does come with a pair of open palms. You can see right there. Comes with one for holding his gun. Another one. Well, now this one also suitable for holding his gun. As you can see, the little trigger finger. A pair of open palms. Again, another variation to, the alternate hand, I should say. And another for holding. Essentially, he really only has one accessory, so rhyming through these, the only accessory really that you can have him holding is ultimately his gun. So he comes with a series of different hands to do that. His gun also is a pretty nice looking bit of hardware there. I like how the blue, I don't know what color blue that is. It's like a blue-based, like a gray-based blue, I suppose. But it's a nice color blue, and it goes well with the belt portion of his harness, as well as the little snap closer on the front. Now, what you can do with his gun, we can move his arm out of the way. The gun sits right into a holster section on the side of his leg. So if you don't want to display Firefly with the gun in hand, that's perfectly fine. It's okay. You can just run it into the side of the leg holster there. But let's say for argument's sake, we're going to take the hand out, like there, just pull that right out. And let's find a suitable hand for holding his gun. I'm going to put the gun on this hand, i.e. I could see him more so pulling it from his holster and not switching over to his other hand or reaching over to grab his gun. So logically for me, I'm going to be displaying him with the gun in this hand. But again, you can have it on either hand. It's entirely up to you. Now we do have to do a little finagling because the handle of the gun is a little difficult, and it's not really so much the handle. I can't blame the handle for it, but the handle has to finagle itself through the fingers of his hand, which can be at times a little difficult. There we go. So there we got the gun in Firefly's hand. Probably again how I'm going to be displaying the figure. Maybe his elbow bent, ready to terrorize Gotham City. Well, let's have a look at some of the other details on the figure though. Again, I really like this figure. I didn't mention it really at the beginning of this review, but I do quite like this figure. I like really the DC Collectibles animated series figures to start off with, but some a little bit more than others. When you get the real spindly characters, they're hard to translate in figure form, and ultimately they feel like very fragile pieces. Case in point, I just happen to have her over here. Case in point, like Poison Ivy. Now, buying these in stores, these are basically the same price. One, you get a much more bigger figure with Firefly versus a much smaller figure with Poison Ivy. But, you know, one feels a little bit more durable than the other. I love when we get figures like a Firefly here, where you can really see a good, meaty, beefy figure, as opposed to something that's a little bit more frail. Obviously, it depends on the character designs as well. Now, let's have a look at his face. Firefly has a very primary design to him, very much rooted in some of the original designs of the animated series, where it went rooted in grays, very much kind of 30s, 40s style of design. He's simplistic, but I think through his simplicity is actually why I like the figure so much, or at least the character design so much. His mask has slightly offsetted red eyes there, or red eye portions of his eyeball area of his mask, and he's also got the antenna on the side. He does have a jetpack, but it is not removable. You can't actually take it off. But his colors are very much, looking at the figure kind of reminds me of the Gray Ghost, you know, like his similar kind of color scheme. The blues also very much hark back to me the animated series or New Batman Adventures, Mr. Freeze, who I felt had very similar blues there as well. But like holding him, he feels like a substantial figure, and that's really when you start seeing, you know, like the really good releases from DC Collectibles. It's not to say that these figures are disappointing, just by virtue of how the characters' designs are. Now, obviously, a figure translates to be a little bit more spindly, but when you can get the big beefy characters like the Banes, you know, the Fireflies here, even like, not that he really was, but Two-Face had a big broad torso, just very spindly legs. That's more and more why I'm looking forward to the Clayface, because we're going to get a nice beefy, heavy plastic figure, which can't wait for that. But I do like the design of Firefly. I think he turned out very nice. Simplistic, yes. You know, he's not the more elaborate designed character from the Batman lore, certainly from the animated series lore. But I think through, again, his simplicity is why I like the figure so much. Well, when it comes to his posability, Firefly's head is on a ball. Well, it's not even... It is on a ball joint, but you can't really do too much with it. You can wiggle the head back and forth and all the way around, but it doesn't really hinge up and down. Kind of something that I wish it could have. Unfortunately, though, it can't. Be very careful, though, with the antenna when you turn the head, that you don't accidentally clip the antenna and break that off. Shoulders are a traditional hinge joint on those. Basically, if you've seen one of the animated series figures, this pretty much will have the exact same articulation. The arms rotate all the way around, still managing to get past his wing portion of his back. He has bended the elbow, which also allows the rotation in the forearm, and he also has a rotation and hinge in the individual hands. Firefly is not afforded, unfortunately, any sort of crunch in his torso, but he does have a swivel on his waist. For his legs, a forward and back motion, as well as a split on the legs. Luckily, there's enough clearance on the holster portion, and because it's rubbery, you can still move the legs, and it doesn't seem to impede it by having the holster on his leg. So that's one plus as well. He does have a bend in the knee, and actually, if you could believe it, he has a bend in both knees. What? Bend in both knees? He does. Bend in both knees. And then finally, he has a rotation on the lower boots, in these little tiny boots that he has, and as well as a hinge in the ankle portion. Some of the figures I've debated as to why they had to come out so soon. A Creeper, for example, or that, I don't know why they released it, but that Freeze Batman, we'll be looking at him in a future video, and I'm sure I'll talk about that. But Firefly, I think, came at a good time. You know, he's not one of the top tier villains. I don't think I would have released him just yet. Well, at the time that the first wave or two were being released, but I think he came out at a good time. You know, and hopefully, as we get characters such as the Grey Ghost, and eventually I want to pick up the, I believe Ventriloquist is out now. Certainly we'll be filling more and more of the Batman Rogues Gallery out. It's nice to see as well that DC Collectibles seems like there's no end in sight for releasing more of these. They can continue to release them. This collector will continue to pick them up. Today's toy spot, we were looking at the Batman, this was the new Batman Adventures. This was Firefly. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.